It was the first week of school, a day meant for blessings, fresh starts, and the laughter of children. Instead, Minneapolis woke up to one of the darkest tragedies in its history. On August 27, 2025, the sanctuary of Annunciation Catholic Church and School, usually a place of peace and prayer, became the site of terror. Within minutes, 2 children were gone, 17 more were left bleeding, and an entire city was left asking, how could this happen? On August 27, 2025, a gunman opened fire during a back-to-school mass at Annunciation Catholic Church and School in Minneapolis, killing 2 children and injuring 17 others before taking their own life. The tragedy left the community shattered, sparked a federal investigation into possible hate-motivated domestic terrorism, and reignited urgent debates about gun violence and safety in schools. Wednesday morning began like any other in South Minneapolis. Parents hustled their kids to school, teachers straightened classrooms, and in the sanctuary of Annunciation Catholic Church, hundreds of children gathered from Massachusetts. It was a tradition to bless the start of the school year. Rows of students, from kindergartners to teenagers, sat shoulder to shoulder in pews. Their voices rose together in hymns, the sound filling the vaulted ceilings with innocence and hope. At exactly 9:15 a.m., Father Michael raised his hand to begin prayer. The air was calm. The world outside seemed distant, and then everything shattered. The first shot echoed through the sanctuary. At first, many thought it was an accident construction noise, perhaps, or a dropped object. But the second shot removed all doubt. Glass rained down from the windows as bullets ripped into pews. Panic erupted. Teachers screamed for students to get down. Children crawled beneath benches, clutching their friends' hands. Parents in the back rows leapt over pews, throwing themselves over their children. One mother would later recall, "I thought it was the last time I'd ever see my son alive." The shooter fired again and again, the air filled with smoke, screams, and the sickening sound of chaos. And then sudden silence. When it was over, 2 children, only 8 and 10 years old, lay lifeless. 17 others were injured. Some had bullet wounds in their arms and legs, others in their backs. 3 elderly parishioners in their 80s had been caught in the crossfire. The shooter never fled. Before police could storm the building, they had already taken their own life. Authorities identified them as 23-year-old Robin Westman. Armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol, all legally purchased Westman had entered the grounds with deadly precision. Investigators quickly learned that multiple weapons had been fired during the attack, pointing to careful, deliberate planning. But perhaps more disturbing than the weapons was what Westman left behind. Hours before the shooting, a chilling video appeared online, angry, unhinged, filled with rants against religion, society, and personal demons. Alongside it, a written manifesto. The FBI immediately launched an investigation, examining whether the massacre was not just an act of rage, but an act of hate. Was Annunciation targeted because it was Catholic? Was this domestic terrorism hiding in plain sight? As the gunfire stopped, chaos continued outside. Parents rushed to the church, many screaming their children's names. Police formed lines, guiding students out one by one. Small groups of children walked with their hands raised above their heads, an image all too familiar in America's recurring nightmare school shootings. In the hours that followed, hospitals filled with victims. Families waited desperately for news. For 2 families, that news was unbearable. Their children would never come home. For 17 others, relief mixed with anguish as loved ones survived, but with wounds that would scar for life. The community reacted swiftly. Vigils were held across Minneapolis, candles flickering against the night, teddy bears, flowers, and handwritten notes piled high at the church gates. Strangers wept together, holding hands in silence. Senator Tina Smith called the shooting heartbreaking, adding, "It's the first week of school. These kids should not be fearing for their lives." Representative Ilhan Omar, Governor Tim Walz, and Mayor Jacob Fry echoed her words, vowing unity while condemning hatred. And from Washington, President Trump ordered flags to half-staff until August 31st. In the days after the massacre, investigators searched for answers. Why here? Why now? Could it have been prevented? The questions cut deeper with each passing day. Some argue that Westman's manifesto showed clear signs of extremism warning signs that had gone unnoticed. Others focus on the ease of access to firearms. Westman had legally purchased multiple weapons, including the rifle used in the attack. For many, it was another painful reminder of a system that continues to allow deadly weapons into the hands of those intent on destruction. For families, those policy debates meant little. Their reality was simple. 2 children were gone forever. 17 lives were scarred, and a sanctuary of learning and prayer had been violated. August 27, 2025. A day Minneapolis will never forget. The morning that began with hymns, and laughter ended with screams and silence. A day when innocence was stolen inside a church, and a day that left an entire community shattered, searching for answers and desperate for change. This is the story of the Annunciation Catholic school shooting, a story of heartbreak, a story of unanswered questions, and a story of a community that must now carry the weight of tragedy into the future. Please click subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.